Viewers, welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Got us a 2003 Chevrolet. It's a Tracker. It's got the big 2.5 in it, I believe. This thing came in the other day with the money light on. The guy has been frustrated with it, and he's thrown a lot of parts at it, and got it fixed from where it was, whatever codes he was having, some problems with the O2 sensors, and then got down to this problem with this Purge solenoid. So I checked it out for him. I told him that the PCM is bad, so I'm going to run you guys back through that. It was a pretty quick, pretty easy test. Well, lo and behold, he got us a used ECM. I believe these things are plug and play, so we shouldn't have any issue, and just want to bring you along. So I've never cleared any of the codes out. Now, evidently these O2 heater codes, so he's got heater codes for all 4 O2 sensors. I think he said that he replaced the O2 sensors and then found the blown fuse. You can see the only 2 pending codes, the 2 codes that keep coming back, are for this Purge control valve circuit open. That's because I left the connector unplugged. And then this was the code he was combating here, the 445 Purge control circuit shorted, and that's one we're going to kind of focus on. These were all in it last time he came, all these stored codes here. We're going to kind of disregard some of those for right now. We're going to go to this EVAP Purge control, and I'm going to show you what's going on. Grab a test light here. So the canister purge valve is right here. So this is your purge solenoid that pulls the fuel vapors out of the tank, and typically they have a power and a control. So we got a test light hooked to battery negative here. One of these is the power wire. So this one is the power wire, and then this wire here comes from the PCM. And when it wants to turn this purge solenoid on, it duty cycles it. It turns it on or off, or it can even hold it, full open. So we have power, and then we'll check the ground side of it. I'll just grab a T-pin here. And technically, right now, key on, engine off. This circuit should be turned off. It should not light a test light because it is not being turned on. Oops. See if I can get this on here. Probably could have just moved on the battery. And you'll see right now that test light lights up dim. It doesn't light up as bright as as when we're going from battery negative to battery positive, but you can see a 100 milliamp test light. This thing lights up dim. And just as the code states, that would indicate a shorted circuit. So now the problem is this wire actually shorted to something, another circuit perhaps, shorted to ground, or is it internal in the PCM? And that was pretty easy to figure out. I went inside the car, unplugged the PCM, the light went out. Well, that doesn't mean a whole lot. So I took and just stuck power on this wire individually, and that was that. The wire is perfectly intact and it is not shorted to ground, so therefore it's the PCM. And the other thing I did, that actually goes to pin 1 at the PCM. I just, with the PCM unhooked, I went to battery positive, touched that pin by itself, and it lit up dimly also, telling me internally that PCM is shorted. So that was a pretty quick and easy diag. I also believe that this is the cause of the rich codes. He's got rich for both banks, because I discovered that when the PCM does command this, because that transistor in the PCM still has control and it can turn it on, when it turns it on and opens it, it stays open. It cannot go closed until the key is shut off. So I believe that's also given him his rich codes. What we need to do now, or what we can do, is we can verify that the O2 heater circuit is still working. So we got our test light here. The O2 heater relay is right over here. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'll move you. I did check this last time he was in, and that's when he told me. So we're going to look to see if we have power. So we have power coming out of both sides of this relay. So that tells me that his O2 heater fuse is good. The O2 heater circuit is still good. One of these should have power too. Yep. So we have power on three legs, one on the control side and both load sides. So that tells me that it has not blown a fuse since he put it in. It's been several weeks, and likely whatever his issue with the O2 sensors and the heater circuits has been resolved. Right up under the passenger dash here we have the PCM. So hopefully that all makes sense to you guys as far as where I'm at. I hate redoing videos. I should have just recorded it the first time it came in, but it was a pretty quick, easy diag. Kind of wish I knew what originally happened with his O2 sensors, but like I say, he had already sorted that out himself. You know, sounds like one of the heaters was shorted, blowing the fuse, and he just replaced them all. So I think what we'll do, before we even take the old one out of the bracket, we'll make sure we're not going to have any issues with the new one here, the used one. So key's off right now, get everything unplugged. Because this car should not have any security, and it's old enough where the VIN number doesn't really matter when it comes to state inspections and such. So we'll see if we can just plug this in. Okay, let's see if this one works. First thing first. Alright, no lights. The key on. Now we're going to reread the code to this PCM. We should have the 444 for sure, but that short circuit code should be gone. Of course, I don't know if there's any other code stored in this from the other vehicle, but oh, there we go. Boom, look at that, 444. So that's 100% verified. We should be able to go back in here with the test light. You guys should be able to see that now, hopefully. We should have a power still, obviously. I got the test light that works here. So we should still have a power. But so power, but on this side it should not light a light when we go back to ground or back to battery positive, and it does not. So we're on battery positive right now, so anything that we touch that's a ground will light up our light. And if you remember, that control wire was shorted before, now it's not. So that's good. Now I have already checked this Purge solenoid to make sure it is not shorted, and as a precaution he got a different one to put on there in case it was intermittently shorting. You know what I'm saying? Because once you find a circuit that's bad, let's say, you know, okay, so this thing's burned up the transistor, whatever's in the PCM that switches it on, that gives you a little pause. You're like, well, you know, what smoked it? You know, was it this Purge solenoid shorting out and, you know, caused an overcurrent on that circuit? And the original one tested the same as the replacement. I think it was 30 some ohms, so it doesn't draw a ton of current. However, some solenoid type solenoids can go bad when they're hot or cold. You know, as they get hotter, resistance goes down, all of a sudden it shorts and the PCM tries to turn it on and poof, up in smoke. So we just pulled the little guy outside. Now what I want to monitor, I'm going to take it for a drive. We're going to look at the Purge command, and then as it warms up here, well, it's already warmed up because the guy just drove it here, but we're in closed loop now. And I want to see the fuel trims, make darn sure it's definitely not really running rich. I don't think we're going to get any of the monitors to run, but I'm going to drive it, make sure the Purge is being commanded, make sure we're not setting any pending codes, and then we're going to call it good. I mean, I'm very confident in the diag in this one. It's pretty cut and dry, so shouldn't be a problem. Glancing over at scan data, cruising down the road, fuel trims look fantastic. Actually, we'll let the long term get populated here because we did reset the PCM, and then hopefully it decides to pull a Purge. Decided to pull over here for a minute. I popped back into generic OBD2, and our fuel trims look great. After driving, I'm completely satisfied with our short terms and long terms on both banks. The Purge solenoid was working there when we were cruising. I could see it pulling vacuum in the tank. We'll make sure we didn't set any pending codes. We'll check and see how many of the monitors set. So no codes detected. And hopefully it ran a couple of the monitors. Oh well, it ran most of them actually. So 6 of them are complete, 2 of them are incomplete. No engine light, no codes. success. I kind of wish I brought you guys along on the first time the guy brought this thing in a few weeks ago. Wasn't really sure where it was going to head or if he was going to come back with a used PCM to finish it. And I know you guys like closure, but all in all, it was relatively easy, and hopefully you guys can learn something from this. When you get those circuit codes and you identify it, like, this wire is definitely shorted to ground, where in the box, or the controller, whatever controls it, shorted to another circuit. You got to isolate that, then just make the call. Unfortunately, this thing's pretty old. Like I said, they don't even store the VIN in these PCMs, so these things are plug and play, no security. Rock and roll, baby. Why don't you guys rock and roll in that comment section? Questions, comments, concerns, put them down there. The Insta, the Facebook, the wipers. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.